Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the 13th Dimension after having a week off. Tonight, I have a very special guest who I have actually been on her show a couple times in the past.
Yeah.
Kate Hobson, owner
Yeah.
of WB, bunch of letters.
A whole bunch of letters.
Yeah. Not the owner of what I thought she was, as I had previously advertised. So, Kat, how you doing?
I'm doing great, and I'm looking forward to talking with you. I really enjoy you. So,
We always
thanks for
have
having
good
me.
conversations.
We do.
Yeah, we always have good conversations, and I would like to throw. Usually, I start out with asking, "Who the hell are you?" But we have talked so many times, I already know you.
You know me.
I
Yes.
know you. But some of the members of my audience may not. Um, but basically, why don't you just introduce yourself and all the little bitty things that you do?
Okay. I can do that. I am Kat Hobson. I am the host of Paranormal Experienced Radio. I've done that for 10 years. I am also the host of Fate Magazine Radio, Fate Mag Radio, which I've done for, past 4 years now. And I do own WBHM Digital Broadcasting. I'm a paranormal investigator. I've been fortunate enough to travel and investigate some really cool places. And I'm also interested in ufology. I cover a lot of that and go to conferences relevant to that topic. I love Contact in the Desert, which is actually starting this weekend out in Palm Springs, California. Well, the Palm Springs area. And I am I just love that topic because it's getting so much play right now, right? It's everywhere. I'm lucky enough to be friends with some really fantastic ufologists who have been working in that field for a long time. Stanton Friedman was a physicist who was very involved in that, and he taught me an awful lot in our conversations. So I love anything strange, anomalous, and weird, which explains my marriage. So it's really fun.
And it's fitting that you happen to have Mr. Alien back there looking over your shoulder, wondering
Oops,
what.
wrong shoulder. Yes,
He was looking over the other shoulder at one
he
time.
was. He was there earlier. But no, my husband, who completely supports all of my weird habits and loves me tremendously, brought this guy home one night, one afternoon, and said, "You needed this." And I said, "Well, I guess I did." But one of my favorite things, I was at Scarefest one year, and that was when I first met a bunch of the cryptid researchers. I hadn't really done much work in that, and they had this great big, huge. It wasn't a Bigfoot per se. It looked more like a dogman. Actually, it was a dogman, but it
Okay.
was huge. And so there's a picture of me in front of it going kind of stuff, being a geek and all these fun things. But I love investigating and I love learning about things that I didn't know were out there. And
Yeah, there's so much out there.
there is so much. And dogmen are pretty freaky. So that was something when I found out about them, I got very into. And I live in Alabama. So we have a little bit of everything here. So skunk ape, Bigfoot, dogmen, um, loads and loads of ghosts, loads and loads of UFO activity. Um, I did not know that we have a community here, Fife, Alabama, and they have a UFO day. I
UFO.
know this because I was speaking at a conference not far from there on their UFO day, and people were like, "Well, are you going to Fife?" I was like, "Don't know anything about Fife," and boy, did I learn a lot.
Wow.
So yeah, it's pretty amazing. And of course, we have the Huntsville Space and Rocket Center that is part of NASA up north of me, and they have the Scientific Coalition on UAP Studies, which is a group of rocket scientists that are working to bring out facts, not fiction, about UFOs. And
Well, I have to say, I actually kind of find that a little surprising that they have stuff like that because isn't Alabama a part of the Bible Belt?
without a doubt, we are the middle of the Bible Belt. So we're deep. But when enough people have enough stuff happen, um, we it's real. And when there's too much to deny, no matter how much the government tries to, um, what is that? My friend Mark D'Antonio is working on a show now, and the name of it, The Proof is Out There. Well, the proof is out there, and it's real, and people can't run and hide from that very well anymore.
Yeah, there's there is a lot of there is a lot of truth out there, but at the same time, there's a lot of misinformation out there.
There is, because disinformation is a powerful tool.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, and I've had my fair share of run-ins with that.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think all of us have at one time.
You can't do this and not run into that.
Very true. Very true.
What was the strange? I'm sorry, I'm interviewing you, but what was the strangest piece of disinformation you came across?
Oh boy. Well, usually it's demons.
Yes.
It's not necessarily disinformation per se, but it's sort of like a delusional belief that some people have where they think they actually know what they're doing.
I have
And
a story about that when you get through.
yeah, they think they know what they're doing, and they go around and start start spreading this, and eventually what they're saying becomes truth.
You can manifest that stuff.
Yeah. So what's your story on that one?
Well, it just came to my attention that a location I like very much, and I'm not going to name the location or the group that did this, but a group booked a private. And when they got there, the owner had waivers that you have to sign, as anybody who owns any kind of property is going to do. And the group um, was reading it and said, "Well, so you don't want this, this, or this, and we're uncomfortable with this." And the owner said, "Well, then you're going to need to leave if you don't want to sign it." And there was some discussion, and what came about was these people tried to release the spirits, right? To send them on. And where they wanted to send them was not heaven. Where they tried to send them was not heaven. And it was very bad. They actually, you know, took one of the waivers with them, and you know, I'm sure there'll be repercussions from them talking. But you know, people who think that everything that is anomalous is a demon, well, no. There are there there are I I'm very well aware of the fact that we don't know everything that we're interacting with, and things can be deceptive. But if you are if you're going out into haunted locations simply to send spirits to places that you have no idea how to get them to, how are you any better? You're still interacting with them, but you're causing harm.
Hmm.
And so, you know, if you don't know what you're messing with, then just stay home and educate yourself with real life and not gobbledygook, because everything that we interact with is historic. It is historic. There's spirits in the Bible, there's ufology in the Bible, there's all kinds of wacky doodle things in there, and it's all just part of the history. And so when you I'm sorry, I don't know how the soapbox got under my feet. Sorry.
I not hearing anything.
Okay. But if you don't know what you're doing, then just go to a haunted house at Halloween and enjoy the spookiness.
I,
There's some great ones. You'll have fun,
I
but
find
leave.
these haunted houses boring lately. I haven't been to one in years. And the last few ones that I have been to, yeah, they're okay, they're cool, but nothing scary anymore.
Well, we have a great one here. We have a couple of great ones, but one of them is called Atrox. And friends of both you and myself have been there. And they bring in talent. It's one of the best because it's scenes,
Hmm.
and it was rated the best of its type of haunted house in the nation. And
Is it like a typical haunted house, or is it like one of those torture haunted houses?
what do you think is normal?
Well, I'm thinking what's normal is that you go through the house and people come out boo or and all of that. The the torture haunted houses that have been coming out now are the kinds where they can actually torture you throughout your time. And I know, a lot of them you have to sign a waiver saying that if these people hurt you, you're not going to come back and sue us and all of that crap.
We don't do that. Or when I worked there, we don't do that. We
Okay.
are we are scenes. We are well, we do touch. When I worked there, we touch. And but we don't hurt.
Okay. Yeah,
And
that's what these
it's
other.
theatrical.
Okay, so you're more or less like reenacting what some scenes are, right?
Well, I don't want to say too much, but like the chainsaw guy has a chainsaw, but it doesn't have a chain on it, just the blade.
Okay.
Okay? Like you're not going to physically get hurt unless you do it to yourself. And my favorite part was the nights that I wasn't in character and was working the gate or working the mines or whatever. You get all these great big old guys coming in with their dates, and they're like, "Are they going to touch us?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, we touch." It's like, well, then I'm just going to knock the heck out of them. I said, "You really are not. Sorry, we're the only ones that are allowed to touch. You're paying to be here. You just keep moving." But the best night. This is so silly. uh, I got to be a clown a lot because I like being a clown. So I was in a room and we had a balcony that we could go on and just reach down and touch and drop feathers on people or whatever. And we had, one of the guys, I wasn't on radio that night, but somebody else was on a radio, and he was like, okay, women go up, because we were down on the ground. And they were like, women go up. And then it was like, oh, everybody go up. We've got to get out. We got to get off the floor, because one of the collegiate football teams was coming through, and they were coming through like a freight train. Okay. And I'm not kidding. When they came through, they were head to butt, right? The guy in the lead was down hiding his face, and everybody was holding on, and they were head to ass all the way through. Can I say ass? But they were. And so I had a little feather that was on a stick, and I just reached down and tickled, where the belt was on a guy's back, and he just scooched that butt up, and they went that much faster. So it really is a very dramatic experience. So I hope you're still doing that. It's a fantastic.
Hurting anybody?
Well, we weren't. If we hurt people, they're not going to come back. But if we scare the fire out of people, they love it. So
I know.
It's fun. That's why we read the books and you write the books.
Every Halloween, I see this happen every year. For some of these haunted houses, they like to release pictures of people when they think that they're finally through, and you get that last scare.
Yes.
And somebody there to take that picture. And some of the facial expressions that these people make, they were got.
Yeah, they were. What was bad? I was in full makeup one night, and I was gory. I mean, I was so gory, and I'm just dangling there, and I'm being dead, dying and stuff. And the kids from the school are coming through, and they were like, "Oh, it's Miss Hobson. Hey, Miss Hobson." And I'm like, what do I look like during the day? Seriously. I mean, I've got to work on my makeup.
Wow.
Yes, I was much more careful, because I was a substitute teacher, and I was much more careful with how I presented when I was at the school after that. Yeah. It was funny. But the ones that did that knew me really well.
I might be offended if here I am dressed in all goriness, and then you recognize me. Do I really look that bad in person?
Seriously. I mean, my hair was bloody, my face was bloody and, hanging down. I mean, I was fully in character. I was having a blast. I was dying there, right? And, oh, look, there you are.
So, do you still do the haunted house?
I don't. I was doing it. My daughters were in high school. It's been a hot minute, but my daughters were in high school. One of my friends was one of those gung ho fundraiser moms, and so she got us connected so that we could do that. We could, actors get paid to work there, but we were volunteers, and what we would have been paid went to our children's activities. So, we had dads working the parking lot. We worked the parking lot too. We had dads working the parking lot. We had people working the gate. We had people, we were really involved. The first time my husband worked the parking lot, I was inside, and he came and found me later. He said, "These are some crazy people that come here." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "This gorgeous girl pulled in, got out of her I think she was in a little Celica, just a really hot little car, and was walking in, and she was like in schoolgirl garb, costume. And she walked past David and smiled at him, and she was like, "Oh, I forgot." And she turned around and went to her car, and he was like, "She's really cute." Well, she reaches into her car and pulls out her Freddy gloves and goes back in. She's pulling on her gloves as she walks past David, and David's like, "Have fun. See ya." But the people that come are so enthusiastic, but what I did was everything. I was emptying trash cans one night and poured garbage can goop on Tyler Maine's shoes. Okay, so it's not all glamour and glory and being spookiness. Sometimes you're the one that's, dumping crap on the talent, right? So, or
Did you say Tyler Maine?
mhm, that's the Wolverine guy, right?
No, that's Hugh Jackman.
No, what is Tyler Maine's character?
Tyler Maine. um I want to say he did Freddy.
No, I don't think he was Freddy.
Uh, oh, no, 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 no. Tyler Maine. He was Sabretooth in X-Men.
Yes, he was an X Men guy. But
And
yes, that was who I poured garbage
Myers,
can juice all over.
yeah, he was Sabretooth in X-Men, and he was also Michael Myers in the Rob Zombie remakes.
Okay, yes.
So,
But he was really sweet though, because I just kind of looked up at him. I'm like, my bad, dude. I'm so sorry. And he was just like, it was the end of a long night for him too. And he had the nicest shoes on. I was just like, oh, I'm so sorry.
and he's a big boy.
He's bigger than Rick,
Yeah, it says right here
bigger
he's
than Rick McCollum.
6'9".
Yeah.
Not the kind of guy I'd want to come after me.
Well, I figured he was tired. Right? Maybe he wouldn't catch me. I don't know.
Well, that
But he was really very sweet. Everybody that came there was. And very professional. People were there, for meet and greets and stuff. My favorite was the woman that plays Elvira.
oh, Cassandra Peterson.
Yes. She was very she was just very sweet. I mean, and the difference between her and Elvira is astounding. You would never know that that's her.
I know.
And
And
I was very impressed with her.
and to think that now I think she's in her 70s
She would have to be.
and she still looks almost exactly like what she did when she was in her 30s.
Yes. Good genes.
Yeah, very good genes.
Yes.
Um, Tell me about Fate Magazine Radio and
Ooh,
how did you get involved with them? Because Fate Magazine has been around for a long time.
a long time. Since 1948.
8.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, brain poot. But I got involved with that because I was the host of Paranormal Experience and I was on a network. And the guy that owned the network was the host of Fate Magazine Radio. Well, this guy just disappeared one day. He had he was actually a real crud, and he is in radio now, and he's running a network again, and his name is Todd Banks. He was the host of Fate Magazine. I wanted us to be on iHeart everywhere, so I paid for part of the production costs so that we could up our Spreaker account and go out into more locations. And he disappeared. And he took my credit card information with him and tried to start another network with it.
Oh,
And so I fixed that. But in the interim, Fate Magazine didn't have a host, but I was starting my own network. And I reached out to Phyllis Galdi, who is the owner of Fate Magazine, and said, look, I don't know who you're going to get to host this, but whatever you decide to do, whoever it is, if they don't mind, you're welcome to bring your show on my network. And she was like, really? I was like, well, we both got screwed. Yeah. I mean, why not? So she called me back. And the sweetest thing that anybody's ever told me was that she spoke to her trouble dolls and they told her that I was supposed to be the new host of Fate. And since I have trouble dolls too, I understood that. And so I've been the host of Fate ever since, and I'm very blessed to do that because she's one of the kindest and most interesting people I've ever known. And she's been doing this a long time too.
How long have you been hosting that show?
Me?
Yeah.
Going in, fixing to start my 5th year. So I love doing it. And I love being affiliated with something that has such a stellar reputation. Um, people, I've done Fate Magazine, Paranormal Experience for almost twice as long, or twice as long.
Mhm.
And so it's funny because when I go somewhere, there was, oh, you're the host of Fate Magazine Radio. And I'm like, I am. Yes, I am. And I love it because UFO conferences, people that are, um, you know, my peers in the paranormal field, and probably most people your age, will say, you know, that was bathroom reading at my house all my life because it was a little digest sized magazine, right? And we went to the full format size for a while and went back to the digest size. But it's really it's really very special. It's one of the icons of American literature history. So that's pretty cool.
And yeah, Fate magazine would have to be very reputable in order for them to last as long as it has. There's not that many magazines with that kind of lineage that this one does.
Yes.
And I know back in the '70s that there were many magazines that were real popular, and then once the '80s came around, it started declining, and then by the '90s and 2000s, it was gone. So for this to last as long as it has, that there's a lot to say about that.
There is a lot to say about that. It's one of those things that you just, I don't know. It's it's just so special. You know, it's covered everything too.
Hmm.
The first edition, Tom Nally says that the 80s were the best decade.
He is right.
Eh, I think so.
Yeah,
And I see Tom McNicholas too in chat. I just got into chat. So I can't join it yet because I have to sign in with my YouTube, but it's there. So anyway, I think that we've covered the first edition was the Kenneth Arnold story, and I have a copy of that. Phyllis sent me one, and we have the most beautiful art for our covers, and our new one that just came out, so you can get it on the website fatemag.com, but it's angels. But I have my first story that I wrote in this new edition, and it's about my investigation at the Winchester House. So I'm going to Scotland next month. So I'm going to be writing about the different places that I investigate while I'm over there too.
yeah,
So
I'm looking at the cover of the first issue. It was only 25 cents.
yes.
And now, if you want to get a reproduction of it, it's going to cost you $21.
Well, that's because she has to get those redone.
Yeah,
And
and I'm
you know,
sure that's not an easy task because back then they didn't necessarily have the files that we do now, where we can be able to save everything and put it on a flash drive. I'm sure back in 1948 they probably
mimeograph.
have the actual oh damn, what do you call those things? I know that they, similar to what they do with the newspapers, they put all these
The
little
printing press. They used mimeograph, and they did the type, the little type things.
typeset.
Typeset. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah,
And
so that would take quite a bit, especially if they're running. Let's see, it looks like they're running quarterly magazines, so they would have to have something.
yes.
Uh,
And the best part, and I want to say hey to Lori Dorsey in chat too. That's my bestie. But
okay.
you know, the coolest thing is that it's really amazing. I do not know what Phyllis's process is for back issues, but I do know that I think she has a lot of them. I mean, a lot of back issues. So I don't know how she does that. And quite frankly, I've never asked. I probably should. But
I would guess she was able to somehow convert it to where she does have
yes,
um, files on the computer and
yes.
yeah.
I do know that she has that, which is how she knew and could go back and pull the actual edition that it was in when, I've told you that Cheryl Costa, who is a ufologist and pretty brilliant statistician,
Mhm.
um, was a guest on my show. And she was telling me that, she had written the first thing she had written was for Fate magazine, and it was a time traveler kind of thing. Johnny Appleseed is an abduction. I'm sorry, an abduction story with Johnny Appleseed. And she said, and I submitted that to Fate, but I never heard anything back. And I went after the show and said something to Phyllis, and she was like, I did print that. And she went immediately, and like in 3 days or something, Cheryl had 2 copies of that edition of Fate that her story had been in. And
Wow.
she just never knew it had been published. I don't know how she didn't know. But it's really, I don't know how Phyllis does what she does. Phyllis had a major um, stroke not terribly long ago. She's back home,
Hmm.
but she is still recovering from that. And can I tell people there's a GoFundMe for her? Is that okay?
No
But
matter. Yeah.
the anyway, if you go and look, then you can find her information. But anyway, so she is recovering, and she has put out a couple of editions of Fate since that stroke. And she is a walk-in, talking miracle, and she's so badass. She had both hips replaced and was out chasing goats. I mean, she is a dynamo, but she knows
And
everything about anomalous topics. So she's a really great source for me if I have something I don't understand. I'm very lucky. So,
hang on, I'm something I gotta do.
what you got to
Do
do?
yeah. Well, as you can see, got a little thing I need to go take care of.
Gotcha.
Uh,
Ah, gotcha.
yeah, soon as I can find it. Um, so while here we go. So while Phyllis is recovering, does she have somebody who is able to take the reins of Fate magazine and make sure
Mm,
everything is still running while
she's doing all of that.
she's doing all of that?
She's doing all of that. Her the stroke, it was a hemorrhagic stroke, and it affected her speech center. So she got that grooving. And I mean, she never lost her sense of reason or intellect. She's still Phyllis. And so she does everything. I'm telling you, the woman is total badass. She's so awesome. But I'm very glad to be her friend. So,
Um, after having discovered Fate magazine, I am going to add this one to my list of story submissions because
cool.
I do I know it says here that it's true accounts of stuff, but I actually have a short story that I wrote that is based on an experience that my mom and her cousin had.
Oh, well, then that would be fascinating. I mean, I shared my experiences at Winchester House. So I think that a depiction of a real story would suit.
Yeah, that I took their true story and just made a fiction story out of it.
Okay. Well,
And
submit it.
I'm
I
going.
mean, she
I
loves that.
actually gave that story to her cousin a few months ago, and she actually liked it. And she said I was more or less kind of spot on.
There you go.
So I'm going to submit that to Fate magazine.
Good deal.
Yeah. And Kate, did you read that big book that I gave you? I've been waiting on your feedback.
I have not read the big book that you gave me, but I am going to tell you something.
Hmm.
The only people who call me Kate are old Englishmen.
Well, I was actually referring to this Kate,
Okay.
but
You called me Kate when we started too.
did I?
But you did. But I never mind
I,
because
I know, I
some of
know,
my
I
some
know,
of
I
my
sent you
favorite
a couple
people do
things.
that.
I know I sent you a couple things. I can't even remember which ones I sent you.
I've got them. I downloaded them and I've been going through, but I have not read them. Not entirely. Not enough to be able to say, why, yes, Jeremy, I have completely gone through everything that you've sent me because I get I go through a lot for my research for the show and stuff, and we've had conferences coming up, and I'm just like, ah, my
Well,
pleasure reading is a little limited right now.
yeah,
So
you're an extremely busy person. Um,
I like it that way though.
I can relate. Um, like one of the things that you're busy with that you mentioned earlier, you are the owner of WBHM DB.
I am. Yes.
How did that come about? And do those letters stand for anything?
Just Birmingham. It is it came about because the son of a gun disappeared with just disappeared. Said he posted it was the day before I was interviewing George Norrie. Okay.
Okay.
And the guy disappeared, posted that day that he was having to pull everything down because he was going into rehab for 900 days. And
That's a
geez,
long
so
time.
sorry. He was so full of crap. He was running from his dealer, but or something. I'm not going to say that definitively, but yeah. So I called Nori's producer, who is my friend, and said, I need you, or I was messaging him. I said, I need you to please call me because I need to do something different. And I didn't hear back and I didn't hear back. And finally, I sent a message that said, the Skype number that you have is not going to work for this interview. I need you to call me. I mean, I had to set up a whole new Skype. I had to set up, an, I mean, I was throwing everything out there trying to get some way to do this interview, right? And so I got a Spreaker account. I got a new Skype number. I got a call sign. And away I went. And that night, nobody heard that show go out. I mean, if you heard it, you heard it only there because I didn't save the show. I didn't know how to save the show and I hit the wrong button. So my very first interview with George Norrie
Is lost.
is lost. But my next one is not. I
Wow.
still have my next one after that. But
Gotta suck.
it did totally, and it sucked out loud and really, really hard because George Norrie is somebody that I love. I met him at the very first Alien Con. I was media for that,
Mhm.
and the first two, the one that was in Santa Clarita, and then the one in Pasadena. And then after that, they started having them when my trip to Key West was every year, and I wasn't giving up my girl trip to go to Alien Con. But I already know them all anyway. And while I still do go to them some, but
Okay, that's where I know him. I did not recognize his name, but I looked him up. I do know him.
yeah,
he has appeared on Ancient Aliens on many episodes, and I'm a
He
big fan
has.
of that
He's the
show.
host. He's the host of Coast to Coast Radio, and he took that over from Art Bell. He has been the host forever and a day. He is one of the most intense gentlemen. He's just a gentleman. He was a member of a completely fierce naval team. There were only 7 members. He was one of them, and I'm lucky enough to know one of the other ones that I didn't know they were together in that. And when I found out about Nori, I was like, oh my gosh, my friend Steve was in that same group. He's like, yeah, I know him. So it's a small world.
What are
But
the odds, huh?
I know, right? But I mean, they were total big time dudes when they were young. They still are, both of them. But anyway, I met George at Alien Con, and it was my very first press credentials. I was so excited. And so I go up and I say, hi, George. I'm Kat Hobson. I'm the host of Paranormal Experience. And he was like, well, hey. And he just reached down, he grabbed my credentials and he signs them. Right. And I'm like,
It's like that.
should I sign yours? I mean, I'll be glad to do that. But it was so fun because I thought he was one of the most amazing people. And I would love to have his producer's Rolodex, is what I would love to have, because his producer is brilliant at what he does and knows everybody. And obviously, everybody wants to be on Coast to Coast. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's one of the most famous radio shows ever.
I know. And I got to be on it. So I was their podcaster of the month one time. So that file I have. Without a doubt. That one is in my possession. But
That's good.
but anyway,
Tom is asking, when are you coming to the Midwest?
I don't know. When are you gonna have something for me to come to? He knows I want to come up there. I did not get to go. Hey Nick. But well, Tom,
I
Denise
think
is
you
down here
were
with me.
supposed to come up to when Rick went over to the old Paulton jail. Weren't you originally supposed to be there that night?
I was on the phone with the ghost that night. I was not at the jail. I couldn't travel. I could not go. And all of my friends that I investigate with and travel with were there. And I was just like, oh no, what do you mean I can't go? And it sucked out loud. But they called me because Rick was like, these ghosts know her. And they
Yeah.
do. And so, you know, we're on
Well, truth
there.
be told,
It was cool.
there were a lot of people there, and it was hot that night.
It can be so hot, especially on that third floor. Did you go
Yeah,
up there? That place is so hot.
there was about
They have
seven
heat in there. They
or
have
eight
heat in
of
there
us.
now.
Yeah,
They
there was
do have
about
heat in
7
there.
or 8 of us in that kitchen.
Oh my gosh.
It was hot,
That
and this was at the end of June, where
oh yes.
summertime. It's almost at its peak.
Yes.
Yeah, it was bad.
I have been up there where I thought I was, and I'm used to heat. I live in Alabama, right? Heat, humidity, that's us. So I was just like sitting up there, and there were way too many people there. It
Mhm.
was not one of Shelley's events, it was another event company. And I was just like, I'm going to faint. I've never fainted in my life. Oh my gosh. Now I
Wow.
know why people say they have, oh, kind of things. But now she has heat and air. So the only thing she doesn't air condition are the jail cells because they're open. Um,
Okay.
but it's much more comfortable now.
Yeah, it was. Well, see, I Rick was talking about you that night,
Good
and
things, right?
oh yeah, good
Okay.
things. But I had originally thought that somebody else that was there was you.
Oh, okay.
And she was the one that was carrying the SLS thing all over the place.
That's Lori Dorsey, who's in chat. She is
Yeah,
an SLS girl. She is so good at getting evidence with that. You wouldn't believe some of the things that she captures.
yeah, and I never got introduced to her, at least not that I remember. But when I walked away, I was thinking that must be Kat that Rick was talking about. But there's
No,
no,
I was in Alabama on the phone talking to the ghosts.
yeah. So when he told me about that later, that's when I realized, oh, that wasn't
Yeah.
Kat. But
Yeah.
it was a good night. It was a fun night, and I never realized how close that jail is to me. Is less than a half hour drive for me.
That's wild. Well, I do go there. So I haven't been for a hot minute, but that's where when they were on Portals to Hell, and I was selected out of all the experiences that people had to share mine on the show.
Hmm.
And it was a lot of fun, really cool time. But but it was the season 2 premiere,
Yeah.
and they found something in the basement, down in the dungeon area. And while I was talking to Katrina, Jack radioed up, and I mean, this was happening real time, right?
Okay.
And Jack radioed and said, "We got through. There's something in here. I need you here." And Katrina's like, "I have to go." I said, "Go, go." I would be running right behind you. And so everybody that was with that film crew are running to go downstairs, and they found bones in there. It was so cool. But it was it was pretty amazing. And so that kind of I was so glad that that jail got that kind of recognition, because that let me make sure I'm telling the truth, but it's I can't think of any place more. It is the most haunted place that's active all the time
Yeah.
that I've ever been. And it has spirits that like to communicate. They don't run and hide from you. They're really there. And they know how to communicate. Shelley has a portal. It's a Steve Huff design that she built. And they purchased the prints for that.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most amazing tools I've ever seen, because I'll just be like, she was doing a barbecue one day, and I'm just slicing and dicing in the kitchen and talking, having a conversation with someone else in the kitchen. And as we're chatting, the spirits are coming through the portal with, joining that conversation in their own topic
While you're cooking.
while I'm cooking. And Shelley's husband does not like when they talk to him, which is why they talk to him. And so, you know how they are. But
He was
so
a cool guy when I was there.
Vincent is really a cool guy. I like everybody up there. All of her volunteers are amazing people. I mean,
How did you end up meeting them?
at through a Ghost Hunt Weekends event, and I do not endorse Ghost Hunt Weekends, but that's how I met them.
I think they're out of business now.
I
Well, unless I'm thinking Ghost Hunt USA. There's
I don't know.
different.
They're all shenanigans. They all get up to shenanigans. But anyway, so I went there with a friend for an event, and then I was at Scarefest, and you know covering stuff and talking to people, and Shelly was there, and with a booth for the jail, and we started talking, and we decided, I can't remember if it was then or if it was the next year, that I went up after Scarefest to Paulding, from Lexington to Paulding, to do a live broadcast. And that's when I had the, huh?
That's a bit of a drive.
Well, yeah, but going home and then going up would have been bad because it's a 9 hour drive from here. And I don't mind doing the drive, but my husband minds me doing the drive because
Ah,
he thinks it's too far for me to go by myself. But I do break it up. I have a town that I stop in coming
mhm.
and going. And there's a great little Holiday Inn Express where they know me. And because anytime I go north, I stop there. But it is right now with the way our um, society is, I would probably not travel by myself that far right this red hot minute. But but anyway, I went to go do a live broadcast from there and wound up pissing off every ghost in the place. And they started showing out and ranting and raving and just being total jerks because I was kind of inadvertently a jerk. And
You
that
were
was,
inadvertently a jerk. Huh,
I set my laptop on the only table that was in that first cell block, which
okay.
is where Gary was found hung. You've investigated there. You know where I'm talking about.
Well, I'm trying to remember the story that Shelley was telling us.
Hmm.
I want to say that there was somebody that was incarcerated there that people now think was actually innocent, and the guilty party may have actually been one of the law enforcement guys.
Yeah.
That's what I want to say that I remember her telling us about.
Right. Well, where I set my laptop was where Gary was hung.
Okay,
Whoever hung him, that's where it was.
but
And
here's the story that she was telling, right?
right,
I just want to make sure I'm getting my stories and locations straight on that
you
one.
are. But the thing was that the whole jail, the whole cell block came to life. I mean, there were stumping and fussing and banging, and you know how those cell doors are just there, right?
Hmm.
Those are great big doors, and I'm hearing them bang, but I'm seeing them not moving, and I'm like, what the actual heck? You know, this is Twilight Zone kind of thing. And my producer at the time, the guy that took off with all the stuff, was he sent me a message through Skype and said, I hear all of this. I will let you know when you need to leave. Right now you're okay. And I'm like, okay, because he can hear voices. And I was like, please tell me you're hitting record, right? But anyway,
There's a picture from that event that I went to that I want to share with you.
show me.
See if this looks familiar to you.
Yes. Yes. That is her. Shelley likes haunted dolls. Is that Emily? Wait,
I I don't
somewhere I have my glasses. Let me
know.
look at her close.
Well, here's
Yes.
so
That doll used to have a
able
sweet
to get a
face.
picture of her and Lucy. See, this here is my doll,
Okay.
and every place I go to, I take Lucy with me.
Hmm.
Um, so I was able to get that. Um, oh, and there's
I know that book.
yep, there's when Rick was doing his presentation to all of us before we did our investigation.
I
So
wrote the forward for that book.
was that you that wrote it?
That was me that wrote that.
I read the book 2 years ago, and I have since then read almost 100 books since then.
I know
Uh,
how that goes.
and then I got this one here that I thought was just cool as hell. Um,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, Rick was holding on to Lucy.
She's actually a cool doll.
She is.
What's her spirit like?
Well, a lot of people tend to think that she's evil and she's demonic and is
She is
battling.
not.
Yeah. Well, it's just the way that she looks. She sits on my couch in the living room all day and she doesn't do anything to bother me. If anything, if I would say that she's more protection for me. I have when I have my surgeries, I take her with me, and
Oh, that's a good idea.
yeah. So if I were to say that she's anything, I'd say she's protection.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Well, because you're so attached to her that she's attached to you too.
Yeah. It's the whole story behind how that all came about. It's a long story. It's really cool. But when I went to Paulding Jail, there was a building that was kind of catty corner from it. Like
Mhm.
say, okay, you're at the front of the building and you're looking away. You're looking across the street, and there's this intersection right here.
Mhm.
Um, the brick building on this corner was the one that caught my attention. I don't know why. It's just an old brick building. I have no idea what it is, if it's even in use.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, it just caught my attention. Um, I don't know what it is or anything. But one of these days, I do want to go back to Paulton Jail. In fact, Shelley had actually given me an invitation to go back there. But when she did, it was during that time where I was going through a whole bunch of surgeries and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I'm gonna have to wait because I got all of this, and I have no idea when I'd be able to come out there. So she did give me that invitation, but that was a couple
Well,
of years ago.
she is good for that. She is one of the best people I know.
Yeah.
So,
But I do want to go back to that jail, just not where there's almost 30 people there.
well, the thing about that jail is that it really pulls the people that it likes.
Hmm.
And even after making all the ghosts there mad that day, okay, the Shelly turned that portal on and we went in the kitchen and had a conversation with the spirits. And I just told them I was there,
On the
you know,
first floor or the kitchen on the third floor?
no, the real kitchen,
Okay.
the first floor. And I just told them, I'm here to help Shelly raise awareness of you so that she can save the jail. If she hadn't bought this jail, you'd be out in the street. And then what would be happening to you? And I'm here because I care, blah, 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 blah.
Hmm.
And one of the spirits came across the box and said, "Really?" And I was like, "Yes, really. Why would I be here? I have a 9-hour drive home tomorrow. I'm not here just for my health. I'm here to help Shelly help you." And we we came to a resolution, and they realized that I was not just there to wreak havoc. Right? I wasn't there to be disrespectful. I really was there to help. And because I thought that if I had her on, had the jail alive from the jail, then we could do a raise awareness for what she was trying to do and get some attention for it because it was still kind of new. It hadn't. It just needed attention from the outside people.
Well,
And
I do have a good team of people that I would like to take over there to that jail. It's just a matter of actually being able to.
well, I hope that you do
Yeah.
because if they love investigating, it is my favorite place to go investigate. And Sloss. I have Sloss here. Although technically you're not supposed to investigate at Sloss anymore because they got a new director for the museum and it's not a haunted location, it's a museum. And I
Uh-oh.
almost got in trouble because I was like, it wouldn't be here to be a museum without the paranormal.
Mhm.
And you should dance with the one who brought you, you know. And
That,
she
that,
didn't. She
Kind of
didn't like
similar
that.
to how Eastern State Penitentiary in
Yes.
Pennsylvania, they stopped their paranormal investigations. They
Yes.
only want to focus on the prison. I'm thinking, wait a minute. I'm pretty sure probably at least a third of your income came from the investigations.
Easily.
Yeah. And it's like, nope.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I wanted to go there. I have heard about sloths. I don't really know much about it. I just know that I first became aware of it on Ghost Adventures. To get how
Yes, he climbed up and signed his name on the water tower,
yeah,
which is
it,
why some of us can't go there anymore.
it been
So,
there.
yes.
So when if I ever see anything involving Ghost Adventures, and then I see something with taps, I'm gonna pay attention more to the tap side of things.
But they both got activity and they did not rule each other's out. And I love it because I have an EVP that had three different voices on it interacting.
Oh wow.
Yes. Yes. It's so cool. I was um I was sitting there. My doctor has kids, right? And some of them are college age and the youngest was high school and they wanted to ghost hunt because he told them I was a ghost hunter. And so I said, well, we can meet there and I can show them my equipment. They can do it. We'll just go down to the boiler room, which is a really active area, and we'll just see what happens. And I wasn't checking for evidence. I mean, I was just there to give them the experience. And one, there was activity. I mean, there was stuff moving around us. There was noises. There were noises happening around us. It was pretty intense. And so after a little while, I was like, well, let's go ahead. We can just call this because they were getting nervous because there was so much motion around us.
Mhm.
So I guess we were down there like 30 minutes, maybe more. But we walked out. And as we were walking out of the building, the youngest son, says, oh, something just scratched me or something just pricked me. And I'm thinking, we're outside in the open. There's nothing here. And he pulled up his shirt and he had a scratch on his abdomen. And I'm like, oh my God. Because nobody I've ever taken anywhere has had anything like that happen, much less a young person. And my doctor, being a doctor, says, oh, yes, that's a mild abrasion. We'll just clean that. I'm like,
Spoke
oh my God. Yeah. I'm so glad he's my doctor and not somebody I have to interact with because I would have slapped my husband if it's what he told my kid, you know. But he's
yes.
just not really. I love my doctor. Yeah, but I'm sitting there going, I have never seen anybody scratched here. This is bizarre. And it happened when we were outside the building,
So,
you know,
so does that mean that there are
they're
uh,
everywhere.
well, I know they're everywhere, but do they do certain spirits tend to stay outside and only be on the outside and
I'm not
so
aware of that. I mean, from my experience, spirits can go wherever they take a notion. And what was funny was I was they went ahead and left. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, I need to go down and make sure I didn't leave any equipment down there. So I go back downstairs and I've got my flashlight and I'm just going through under the table and stuff and making sure there's nothing in there. And as I'm walking out, I hear people walking up on the grate up where the impellers are. So I'm just like, oh. So I took my voice recorder out and I just said, who's that walking up there above me? And I waited a few minutes and, you know, I just said, well, I hope that you enjoyed, you know, that family being here. They're really nice people. He's a doctor. Those are his kids. And I'll see you next time. And I went on and went upstairs and left. and I never thought about it again. Right. So I was downloading files off my recorder and I thought, oh, that's from Sloss. I wonder if I got anything while we were there. And I went through and I got to that recording and I have that on my drive. If I send that to you on Facebook, can you play
Uh,
it? We'll plan that next time.
yeah,
But
I'm not sure.
I don't know if that would work either. But anyway, so when I played the recording, when I said, you know, is there anybody up there? This one voice says, bad customer. And it's a real slow southern deep voice, right?
Okay.
And can I cuss? Can I say what he said?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, um, and I love it when they cuss because you know that's not a radio. That's not out on the airwaves somewhere.
Yeah.
So anyway, this guy says, bad customer. And this other guy says, Jawohl. Yeah, this little higher voice.
Mhm.
And so then this other guy says, real slow and southern, bad customer, eat shit.
Oh.
And I'm like, I got 3 voices on one EVP. Are you freaking kidding me? This is the coolest thing that I have gotten.
Very often.
I know. And I just thought, I love it. I love it. So
Yeah, we
that
have
is
a
my
hard enough time getting just one.
I know.
An EVP.
I know.
3?
Yes. And they were, I mean, they weren't interacting with me. They were interacting. And yeah, the one guy answered me, but then the others were responding to him. And I was just like, this is the coolest thing ever. This is so neat. And yeah, it was so funny because I just was like, yeah, I got that. I'm
That's
so excited.
almost like the EVP equivalent to having the Holy Grail.
I know. That's how I feel too. I'm glad you said that
Yeah.
because I get so ridiculously excited when I get really cool stuff, right? That
You know, if you don't get excited when you get good evidence, I don't want anything to do with you.
if you're not excited, why in the world would you do it?
Yeah.
You know, because there's time, there's money for equipment, there's, you know, the travel part of it,
Yeah.
there's being in
You invest
uncomfortable
a lot
places.
into this.
You better love it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's like you're Mr. Bourne or Mrs. Bourne.
Yes. It's like, I don't want to investigate with you if you're not excited.
Right.
Move on.
Yeah.
So,
but
but that's,
like I'm going to pick on Nick here for a minute.
oh, don't pick on Nick. I love Nick.
Oh, I have to pick on him.
Well, I know. I do know.
If I didn't pick on Nick, he would
think you were mad.
Exactly. Well, no, think of me as being mad at you anyway, Nick. But no, he actually got some really, really good evidence at a filming project that we did a few years ago. And he was the one that was doing the film, and I was in another room. And he was seeing this shadow coming down and completely covering another person's face. And there was another guy that was filming next to him, did not get that shadow.
Really?
But
Was
Nick
it a separate angle or were they right next to each other?
No, Nick was facing this way and Don was facing this way, but they were both pointed at the same people. But it was only on Nick's camera that the shadow came down, just covered the guy's face and stayed there, and then all of a sudden just went right back up. And Nick, to his credit, he's watching this happening, and being that he's the cameraman, because we were filming for a specific project, he knew that I can't react.
Right.
So he kept his cool. And then when they were done, he came back. Oh, you have got to see what I just caught. It's like, what? What'd you catch? And he went back and showed us holy shit.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Was
Uh,
it like a shadow, like a shadow cloud coming over the subject, or was it?
it it was it was almost like a black mass, but you can't tell if it was freestanding.
Mhm.
But it came from the ceiling, and it came down in front of this guy and completely covered him from here on up. And his wife is standing next to him, and she sees nothing.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
she sees nothing. And when he showed it to me, how can you not see that?
Seriously.
But and it was only Nick's camera that caught it. Don's camera didn't.
That's so interesting.
It is. And Nick, like I said, Nick can get very excitable.
Yeah.
Um,
He's that energetic guy.
he is, but damn it, he kept his cool.
He's a professional.
Yeah, he showed his profession right there, but
Yes.
he kept everything nice and still, and it is like nothing was happening when that was happening. And then once the cameras went off, and now we don't have to be professional. Oh, you
Yeah.
got to check this out. You got to check this out.
I would have been too, though. You would.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
would.
because when you start getting that, that's like you said, the holy grail, right?
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
you caught it in real time.
yes, that's the coolest.
It is.
I
That
love that.
happens. Normally, we don't catch these things until after the fact.
Yep.
And for him to actually see it while it's actually happening, that is a rare thing.
Yes.
So he got he got lucky with the Holy Grail there.
You'd rather be lucky than good, right? When you can be both, it's unbelievable.
I know, I know.
So, and
So
he's both.
he had one of the best catches ever,
Oh,
and
that's cool.
to be able to say that he was watching it as it happened, and it's that is something that more than 90% of the investigators out there can never say.
That's right.
So
So, I think the only shadow that I've caught on film, the only reason I caught it, we were in an abandoned hospital here in Birmingham that's slated to be pulled down. We can't go back in.
mhm.
But we were going through the surgical unit and well, the step down surgical unit and just going through flashlights, cameras going, stuff like that. And the girl in front of me, when I just had my camera up looking, and she shined her flashlight down there, and I saw something, and I was like, oh, and I've got my camera shooting down there, and I was like, can you shine your light back down here? And it looked like an ink spot. We were talking about the the raft earlier, the ink spot, but it was on a door, and it went like like against the door, and it just kind of melted down, and it was at the end of a corridor where there were doors, and then the door, and it just kind of melted down and went under the door to its right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you saw that, right? Tell me you saw that. And she was like, I did. I said, I hope I got that. I hope I got that. But, there's so many different places, but to see something come over a human, a living person, I can't believe he was able to maintain that. Nick is so cool.
Yeah, that just shows you the level of professionalism
Yes.
that he has. In
How
that,
long ago was that? Because he's not very old.
uh, not too long ago, I had actually just submitted it. Um, 3 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was 3 years ago, April 30th to 2021.
Cool beans.
Mhm.
Go, Nick. I know you're listening. You are so awesome. It's a reason I like talking to you, dude.
He was listening at one point.
He was,
Yeah.
because he was in chat.
Yeah, he was going back and forth with all these pickle conversations.
Yes. But that's what I like about the different people that I've met
Oh,
through this
and
field. Oh, he's back.
he says he's back, so he missed out on that whole conversation.
Well, he did say thank you.
Nick,
So,
we were talking crap about you.
but it's really funny because I am so fortunate. I've done paranormal experience, like I said, for 10 years. And I've gotten to talk to some of the coolest people in our field. I've made such good friends, and I love what I do. I love paranormal investigation. I love talking to other people who love it too. And it's so amazing when yeah, that's why I like conventions. And we don't have very many here, right? I have to really travel to get to them. And so I like the social aspect of that, and I like doing it for my work.
Mhm.
But I love talking to people who get that rush, who know how special it is when you actually catch something. You had mentioned something on your feed about Robert Murphy and his book coming out. And
Actually, been out for a little while.
well, I didn't know that because I haven't seen him in several years, but I met him at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash.
Yeah,
And
he goes there every year.
the first year I went, he took me with his team out onto the battlefield to investigate down near Sachs Bridge. But we were on the side where the fencing is and stuff, like the modern fencing and all that. And it was just my first time meeting these people. It was my first time at Gettysburg, and he took me out with his team. We're out there, and the amazing thing was that there was a stand of trees, what I thought was a stand of trees in the field where we were.
Mhm.
And so it was dark. You could just see the shadow of them and stuff. And yeah, I turned around, I saw it and just kind of noted it and turned around and was talking. And then I turned back around and the trees are gone. And I'm like,
How
okay,
did trees just automatically just disappear?
right. And so I said something, and he said, there aren't trees there. You probably saw soldiers standing there. And I'm like, get the hell out. No way. That that's just random coolness right there.
Well,
So,
I have heard of people saying they saw people there.
well, get this. We're sitting there, and you know, I'm thinking that I'm just seeing bunnies or something, right? Because there's low to the ground, they'll pop up, they'll go low to the ground again. And one of the men that was on Robert's team, yeah, I put my video camera down low trying to catch that because I like bunnies, right? But I didn't know what it was. And one of the guys said that's probably the I can't remember the term, but the scouts, that's probably the scouts trying to figure out if we're friend or foe. Yeah, they're crawling, they pop up, they go down. And I'm just like,
Yeah, I know what you're talking.
holy crap, really? And they said this was a battlefield. Yeah. Stuff like that apparently happens there, right? So I'm just like, this place is freaking astounding. you know, I am
It
I
was
am
one of the
sold.
most devastating battles in
Yes,
all the
it
Civil
was.
War. It was a
Yes,
pivotal point for
it
us.
was the pivotal point. And so, yeah, I will always appreciate Robert so much because he didn't know me from Eve, really, but he was. he was willing to take me out to that battlefield so that I could experience that activity. And he didn't know if there was going to be activity, right?
And
But
Robert's
appar-
good for doing something like that.
well, he was just one of the kindest people. And that's why I like paranormal people, because if when you love it, you want to share it.
Mhm.
And I mean, it
In,
was,
in my opinion, Robert is one of the best in the field.
mhm,
And unfortunately, that's not something I can say about many people.
true.
But for Robert, I have the utmost respect for him. Um, every now and then, I'll bother him about something, and he is always very generous about his time when he's able to. Sometimes he can't.
He works a lot
He does.
and he works weird hours or
Yeah.
off hours from a normal schedule.
Well, he's got two full time jobs. I know that he was a safety manager for one company,
Mhm.
and I forget what the other one he said he was. But yeah, he and I had a great many conversations, especially on the topic of safety at work, especially with what happened to me. So
Yeah.
we had a lot of conversations about that. But even before that, we had a lot of conversations about stuff that was in the paranormal and just me picking at his brains.
He's a good source to do that with.
And I've got two of his books. The first book that I got was about 2 years ago. It was about explaining and treating the paranormals, something like that. And then this one that you saw, he had actually put out a couple of months ago. I had just did not have a chance to get it until recently.
Well, I got it when I saw you post.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but
I haven't read that, but it is on my queue at some point to read this year.
yeah. Isn't that fun though? I mean, that's one of my favorite things about doing two shows. And Fate is paranormal stuff also, but I like using that platform for my UFO interests because and just general weirdness, right?
Yeah.
It's fun and I have paranormal experience and I before I started doing Fate, I incorporated all of my interests on paranormal experience with ufology, cryptids, um, everything. I just think it's fun. And so now I have two venues for that. And I love that because I've done paranormal experience long enough that doors were opening anyway. But when I started doing Fate as well,
Mhm.
different doors opened. And it's, I love what I do. I can't believe I get to do what I do. And, I
Yep.
mean, I got to have a private session with the crystal skull, right?
The Crystal
The
Skull.
crystal skull. And
Oh my.
Bill gifted me a session with it when I was out in California the last time. And I'm just like, holy cannoli, I can't believe I am doing this. I've seen it on television. I know the history, I know the legends of it. And here I am interacting with it. It's the most
There's like a handful of them around the world, or
there's
something like that.
barely a handful.
Yeah.
And but this was I mean, it's the real deal. It's a for real thing.
This one, the one that you're talking about, is that the one that is like the perfect personification of the human skull, like perfect dimensions and everything?
And it has the bottom jaw. It has it's the full one that's
Yeah.
still it's two pieces, but it's still all together. And
Wow.
it was the most amazingly wonderful thing to experience because I didn't anticipate that. And it was
And where is that skull at?
it lives with Bill. And a cool note is that his wife wrote the Jewel of the Nile books.
Are we,
So
are we,
romancing the stone and Jewel of the Nile.
yeah,
That
I
author is his wife. So, you know, these are very special people. And, you know, that's why I love what I do. I got to meet the guy that is the property manager at Skinwalker Ranch. And, he's like, yeah, just text me.
the
And I'm
one
like,
the one in Utah.
uh-huh,
I
yeah.
got a friend that lives, a member of the team that lives about 20 minutes away from there.
His name's not Ryan, is it?
No, her name is Jennifer.
Okay. Because there's a guy when I very first started doing radio, um, there was a guy named Ryan Skinner who had written books about Skinwalker Ranch.
No,
And
that
he
name.
was not very respectful of it, but he got a really fast education. So, that's
That's,
not a place you want to trespass to try to find something, right?
yep,
But
that's generally how that happens. If you're not going to be respectable, oh, you're going to learn.
you will you will become part of the legend, you know, as they try to find the pieces of you. Yeah, because I don't know what I think about that place. I find it so fascinating that
I don't really know much about it. I haven't really read up on anything. I just know that there's something there,
Mhm.
and that's it is famous.
Well, there's been when the people that lived there that ran, um, they had all kinds of paranormal type activity,
Hmm.
and it's gone through different hands and different things. And Brandon brought it. Brandon Fugel bought it, and the research that they're doing now is interesting. Travis Taylor is from here, and I get tickled every time when he first got on the show, and he would be like, they'd be going to get in the truck, and he's like, shotgun,
Guys,
you
right?
know, huh?
He's one of the ancient alien guys, right?
He is. That's where I first met him was when he was new to Ancient Aliens.
If that's
We
who
met in
I'm,
Pasadena.
yeah, if that's who I'm thinking it is. He's actually my favorite guy on that show.
He's a he is. I think he has now 4 PhDs. He is.
Jeez.
I've been in places where everybody there was pretty sure they were the smartest guy in the room, and probably he was the one that was right. Okay, so he's really brilliant. I pissed him off when I first met him. So, well, the second time I met him, I asked a question after
Okay,
his
so you
lecture.
pissed this guy off. You pissed off the ghost that Paul in jail.
I didn't piss them off. We all get along now. I did piss them off then, but we all get along now. But
Wow.
I asked questions, and you know, Travis was at the time still a government employee, and he was drawing a check from Prometheus Entertainment for doing Ancient Aliens. And I just, I waited in line to ask my question just like everybody else did.
Mhm.
And my question was, do you still get paid by the government? And he said yes. And I said, do you draw a check from Prometheus? And he knew where I was going. He said, I do. I said, so are you disinformation or are you disclosure? And
Uh,
he just looked at me and he turned the only blonde-headed Scotsman can turn this shade of red, right? I was just like, oh,
well, with that question, I can see where somebody would get mad at you for
it's
asking that.
a valid press question. It's a valid question.
It is a valid question, but I can
And
see where it would make him mad.
well, he could have answered it, right? and he did not. And so I saw him at another event in Huntsville with that Scientific Coalition on UAP Studies group.
Mhm.
And I went up to him. I was like, I just wanted to tell you that I'm sorry I made you mad. And he was like he didn't know who I was. I was like, I know you remember that. And I said, I didn't really mean to push you on the spot, but you also never answered me. And I mean, this was just nobody else was listening, right? I said, so I didn't say anything else. I just stood there. And he got mad all over again. And I'm like, I just wanted to know. I mean, I'm standing here, there's nobody else listening to this. And what he said was fascinating. He said, I would never violate my oath to my country. And that was all he said.
See,
And
that can be taken in so many different ways, because for some, taking an oath to protect your country
you
does
don't,
entail misinformation.
it does. I mean, if you're, I mean, there are branches of government that is their job. And, Travis is a very, and I have utmost respect for him. I totally do. He has, he has served our nation. He is not, you know, he's not a jerk. He's a nice human being. And I hate that he will probably either run from me or have me removed from a location if he sees me again, right?
Well,
But
being in his position, it also is also understandable that there are certain things that he cannot talk about.
well, I don't think that okay, I'm not ex-military. I am completely civilian. My dad was Special Forces Green Beret, but that was a long time ago that I was around those people. And you know, but I'm I'm a journalist. I mean, and I do the journalistic part
Hmm.
of this job. I try to bring people facts. There's so much disinformation out there. There's so much,
Yeah.
go for the drama, make things look more than they are kind of stuff. And I genuinely, because I watched that show, I think that he's brilliant. I think what he does is brilliant, but I want to know. And other people want to know that too. And that was before they came out and said that he had been working for ATIP. He was the chief science officer for ATIP.
Hmm.
And those two jobs were very close together, you know, because when when
There was him working for the U.S. government, and then there's Nick Pope.
Nick Pope was
Was
the British
British.
government,
Yeah, British government.
but the other guy whose name is absolutely escaping me now, and I'm just going to be so embarrassed for that. But the guy that came out who went to work with TTSA. Oh my God, I can't believe I can't think of his name.
Well, let's see. There's Giorgio
No,
with the crazy hair.
no,
Uh,
those are all ancient alien guys. This guy came
Richard.
out of ATIP. He was the director of ATIP. He came out, he went to work for To the Stars Academy, and he was there with Tom DeLong and them. And let me see, because ever since I had to redo my Facebook, I can't find anybody anymore.
Uh, I'm looking them up. There's where are you guys at? I know that at one time there was a list of who was
Lou Elizondo. I'm sorry, I couldn't find him, but that's his name. But
who.
Lou Elizondo came
Uh,
out,
okay.
and you've seen him a bunch of the shows too, and he's the stocky guy that was in the Navy, not the Navy. He was he was in the government ATEP program, and then he came out, and I met him when all of that stuff was going on with the Nimitz,
Okay.
the USS Nimitz with the Tic Tac videos and stuff. Tic Tac, the the jet pilots that were chasing and getting locks on the UFOs,
Oh, okay, okay.
and I got to I got to hear some of those pilots talk, and their lectures were fascinating because they were chasing something, and there was a fleet of those craft up there
Hmm.
that they could see on radar with the new radar that they had. And the Nimitz was one of the few, I think it was the only ship to start with that had that radar. But, or the Nimitz group, the name of the ship with the radar was not Nimitz. But anyway, you know, all these people were government people, and nobody had said that Travis was part of the government program until after after I asked him that question, because I thought he was still just active military, but he come to find out he was the chief science officer for that government program.
Hmm.
And I think, you know, I find that so interesting, as you can tell, because I'm going on and on about it, and people are probably going, "Would she shut up?" But
I enjoy that because that's one of my favorite shows.
me too. And it's just it's amazing. Do you want to know a secret? If you like that show, do you know how Giorgio gets around conferences without people knowing where he is?
No?
He puts on a hat. He puts on a cap and he walks around, and people don't know he's Giorgio Tsoukalos because of the hair.
Well, his hair is his most distinctive feature.
It is. Yeah, that's why he got that job, right? It's
Yeah.
so cool because when the producer of that, Kevin Burns, was the guy that owned Prometheus, and
Yeah,
he
I remember the first time I ever seen Giorgio in anything. He was actually in a short documentary that was included on the original Stargate movie. And here is this young Giorgio, real thin, very short hair, almost military cut.
yeah,
And now here he comes in on Ancient Aliens, and everything is sticking out like Albert Einstein.
that hair is what got him the job. Did you not know that? Kevin told me that. He
It
said,
wouldn't surprise me.
"Well, there was there were a couple of people that were up for that role, okay? And Kevin Burns looked through all the stuff, right? And he was he was like, "Okay, bring me the guy with the hair. Let's talk to him," because he stood out, and he's still a standout. But I just think stuff like that's so cool. you know, I love what I do. You know, and you do that too. You get to talk to some of the coolest people, the neatest people that have some amazing experiences. It's fun.
It really is. I have spoken to a good number of
I
really
know.
awesome people.
I know you have. I mean, it's part of the thing, right?
It is.
You bring people on that you want to talk to because you figure that your guests, your listeners want to know about them too.
Well,
So,
what I had been doing with this show, with the exception of the last couple of episodes,
yeah.
is trying to get to know what else these people like to do.
Yeah.
Like I had somebody that is a has been a regular show host of this in on this network for the last 2 years. What she does is she does theater work.
How
So
cool.
brought her on and we talked about nothing but her work in theater.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
then I had another guy come in. He's big into paranormal, but he has another passion, which is astronomy. So we spent an hour talking about astronomy. So I like to mix that in as well to get to
Yeah.
know the person behind the paranormal. And I just haven't done
So,
that the last couple of episodes.
do you
Um,
know what I do?
what do you do?
I'm a photographer.
Shoot,
So,
we could have spent a whole show just talking about that.
I think that I've done that for a long time. I stepped away from it for a while because I was traveling so much,
Yeah.
but I do beach photography, and I actually pulled my webpage down because I wasn't doing very much of it anymore. And my husband and I were talking. I was like, I think I'm going to do that because I love if people see you out on the beach taking pictures, they'll come up and say, like, you know, we just got engaged. Could you take our pictures this afternoon? Or, you know, because I'm always like, well, yeah, I'll be glad to do that. And, they're like, well, what do you want to, what do you want for me to do that? I was like, buy my memory card, bring a memory card, do whatever.
Yeah.
And so, that's really the coolest thing because, people, I've got it's Island Cat Photo, and I think I still have a Facebook page for that because so much happened when I got, you know, compromised. But I got hacked like all over the place. So it's kind of slow building back up. But
I was shocked when Rick messaged me because you were trying to get a hold of me and you got and
yeah.
get it through Rick, and I'm like, holy cow!
I know. I mean, I got completely taken off the platforms that I use the most. And it was so frustrating. And then I found out that they were buying Facebook ads with my account. And so I called my bank and I was like, nope, shut that down. Nothing, nothing. Just destroy that card. Get rid of that card.
I
And
wonder if like when the whole thing with um, the guy that screwed you over that ended up leading you to creating
yeah,
WBHM, if maybe he might have been involved in that.
I would not think so because we haven't spoken in some time. And I am not somebody that is going to go after you. I mean, life's too short and karma takes care of everything. But I also let people know if I'm in a situation so that they can kind of be forewarned.
Hmm.
I'm not going to go out and just say, this guy's the meanest SOB, blah, 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 blah. But I am going to say, you know, like in case you were wanting to do business there, just be aware. Um, I don't, he's a fantastic, fantastic producer. He's got one of the best radio voices. He's very, very good at what he does. But I think drugs just overtook him. And that happens. I know other people that that's happened to. I have not often been quite as jacked over as I was with that, you know. So
Right.
I do try to let people know just be careful. You know, I don't, I don't, I don't think that I would ever do business with him again, period, ever.
Right.
But a lot of people do because he is very good at what he does. But
It sounds like something that I wrote a long, long time ago. A lyric. The line goes, "How did you get hooked on the Paradise Needle?"
that's a good line. And it's really so bizarre because I have never really felt a pull for that kind of activity, and
Hmm.
I'm glad. But I just can't imagine the horror of living that life. and being the kind of person that can't be trusted, or being the kind of person that doesn't care that they can't be trusted, that matters more to them than anything else in the world, including their family, their health, their everything. And I have a lot of empathy for people that go through that. And I have a lot of empathy for Todd because he is so very good at what he does. And yet, this is not the only time that happened with him. I'm not the only person that had that experience with him. And I can't imagine being so compelled to do something that I repeatedly destroy my world.
Well, you know, I hate to bring it up with him because we hold him in such high regard, but Stephen King
Yes,
um, went through his own period of that.
yes.
And,
There's an astounding number of people who do.
yeah,
But when it's somebody that's achieved that level of reputation and comfort in their life, and you're just kind of like, dude, really?
mhm.
And so it's obvious that that pull is so powerful
Oh yeah.
that you just,
One of my favorite singer, the favorite singer, to be honest, he had talked about drugs in some interviews. He said he had never done a drug in his life, and people asked him how. He said the reason I've never done a drug in my life is because I know I would enjoy it, and that's why I don't do it.
yeah,
Um,
the best reason.
yep.
And I'm very competitive. I I was a world champion baseball player. There's a tidbit, but I
Oh,
am I am. It was a long time ago, but it was fun.
but
But
still, world champion.
yeah,
How many
women's
people?
doubles.
How many people get to say that?
Well, at least two every year. So for the women's, but
Out of how many millions?
well, that's what happens when you're in college and a barfly, right? You start playing foosball or darts. It's all fun. But it's really amazing. I never felt that urge, to be addicted to anything. I just I didn't try very much, but I never could understand that. I think it's because I had an addict step parent, alcohol, and it was such a horrible thing to live through as a child in that environment that I just was like, oh, I don't think so. Thank you, but no thank you. You know, I I do drink. I mean, I like a drink, but moderation.
That's something that a lot of people don't have the willpower to do is take things in moderation.
Or they may just not realize how much they've had, and then they wind up toasted, and then they're like, "Oh, well, that was kind of fun," you know.
Yeah,
But
that's
I just, it's not my color Kool Aid.
like me. I'm not a drinker. I've been offered many times, and my reasoning is because well, one, I actually had a brother who died from drinking and driving.
Uh, I'm
But
sorry.
I had numerous other family members who are drinkers, and I see how they are, and I
Yeah.
say, I don't want to know what I would be like as a drunk.
Well, there's it's a big deal. Yeah, but and there's a difference between had a cocktail and tipsy and wasted.
Right.
And when
Plus, I'm
somebody,
on 2 blood pressure medications too, so I don't want alcohol getting mixed in with that. So I do
right?
have that to fall on it if they wouldn't use the others as an excuse.
Well, it's nice to be, and I mean, I'm old and I don't really care what people think. So it doesn't bother me if somebody thinks that I'm a stick in the mud because and I do, like my friend Lori and Shelly at the Paulding Jail, we will drink together, but it's in a safe environment. It's with no vehicles being moved. It's, you're going to go to bed. I spend the night at the Paulding Jail. I love sleeping over there. But, it's if Shelly has a party or something, then I'll I'll imbibe. But it's a controlled environment. I'm with people that I trust, and I know that I'm going to go to sleep in that bed upstairs.
Yeah.
So that's a different thing. I didn't
But
want to sound like I never drink. I do have a drink,
I,
but
I do want to tell you that if you ever do go back to Paulding Jail, let me know because
I'm going to let you know. I didn't know you were that close.
I'm only 30 minutes away from there.
Well, I will not go back there and you not know it.
Yeah, because I will go back. I do want to go back there. I want to check
It's
out
a
that
great.
jail. Yeah, I want to check out that jail, but just not with so many people there. That's why I hate doing public events.
I do too.
Yeah. So if I can do something of a more private, intimate setting,
Yes.
you
And
have a
that,
much better chance of getting activity.
well, that jail, I'm so fortunate that I've gotten to go there and just hang with Shelly because Shelly is one of my best friends on the planet and I love being around her. She is one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. And the fact that she was able to get that jail and she has done so much work there. I mean, Jeremy, you wouldn't believe the
I
the
know she's
differences that
done a
she's
lot of
made.
research for it because I,
Yes.
I I could be mistaken, but I think she was the one who discovered that the guy that was killed and it might actually be the innocent one. I think
Yeah.
she was the one that discovered that.
She has discovered everything.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody was interested in anything that had happened at that jail. They built the new jail and this one was just left. And
Which
Shelley,
is now a lot of jails were.
it is. Yeah. Well, it's kind of like Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. Ronnie D bought that. They were going to tear it down. He
Uh,
bought it at auction. It
same
was
same
condemned.
with Waverly Hills. The city was going to tear that down
Yeah.
until Tina and Charlie got a hold of it.
Yes. I mean, there's so many properties that were facing the same fate.
Mhm.
And good people like them, the ones we mentioned, stepped in. And, same Trans Allegheny, St.
Alamo
Albans.
down?
No, I mean, it was closed
Oh
as a
yeah.
hospital, but as a paranormal facility, it
Mhm.
got a new life. It's like St. Albans in West Virginia. I mean, there's so many places that have the same story and so many people that are out there doing the work so that we have a place to go and investigate and do our experiments.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
one
it's
of
so
these days
cool.
I'm definitely going to go back to Paulding Jail. It's just you know timing issues.
Well, I understand that. But when I can start heading back that way, I will definitely let you know I'm going.
Oh yeah, you
And
better.
I'm not going to be that close and not investigate with you. I love there.
Yeah, because I try to do different things when it comes to investigating because I get tired of the same norm. So I try to think outside the box and do stuff.
Nick said he would love it too. You come on, buddy.
I know Nick was actually jealous of me when I went to go see Rick.
Well, Rick McCollum is one of a kind.
Well, see, Nick and I had actually just investigated at Wildwood Sanitarium
Yeah.
in Salamanca, New York. Me, Nick, and Tom, along with Debbie, one of our other team members, the we were all together um, there at Wildwood, and then we went to Hinsdale House,
Oh,
and then we did a daytime investigation there.
I like daytime investigations.
Yeah, it's a lot safer than just walking around in the pitch black. Yep, and Robin was there too. Robin Ramsey was out there as well. Um, and then we all came home, and then the next day I went to Paulden, and um, going into the next day, the nighttime, that was actually my birthday. So I spent my birthday with Rick.
How
I
I
don't
didn't
think
know
he ever
that.
knew that. Yeah, I don't think Rick ever knew that after midnight it was my birthday.
He will now.
um, but it was just so cool. But I have to say it was so incredibly exhausting because I had just gotten done with New York, drove home, and then the next day I went. Granted, it was only a half hour, but still, that
When you're tired, that's a lot.
it adds up. Yeah, it adds up. But I was so glad that I got to go there because I got to meet Rick because he had been on a number of my shows. Um, and plus, he had always demanded that I keep him up to date on my recoveries.
Well, because he genuinely likes and cares about you.
Yes, yes,
So,
and not many people his status would do that.
I he and I have been such good friends because we were both injured at the same time, with me with my knee, him with his knee, right? And he was kind of like talking me through it because my poor husband, he was trying to work, make sure I was taken care of. I had to be in bed for 3 months. So David's trying to do everything. And
Rough.
so Rick stepped in, and because he was helping with the physiology part of what's going on in my knee and what, you know, you need to be strong and do this, listen to your doctors. Because I'm like, 3 months. Oh my God. So it was a, yeah, that's how we became such great friends. Plus, we just clicked when we met. We first met at Scarefest a few years back.
Yeah, I was getting ready to ask you, how did you meet him?
Yeah, we I was doing my thing, and he was up with the um RA and came,
Mhm.
and we just started talking, and it was like we've known each other for many lifetimes. It's just one of those clicks, right?
Yeah.
Like, yep, know you. And we just hung out and chatted and got to be, pretty strong acquaintances. And you know, when I was hurt, he was like, tell me what's happening. How are you? And just really, because I've never been hurt before, right? I didn't know. He's a stunt man. He gets hurt all the
Yeah,
time. So it
yeah, it's
was
a rude awakening.
it was such a shock. And because I was walking, I was on the ground. And it was just like, WTF. I don't even know what just happened here. But anyway, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I am. And
Mhm.
you are. And, it's just one of those things. So we we became friends, and we'll always be friends. And my husband, if I'm on the phone with Rick, when David comes home, Rick's like, "Hey, David." And David's like, "Hey, Rick." They know that both of them are really special human beings.
Mhm.
And I'm going to Scotland in a few weeks with Rick and Mikey, who you met, and Lori, who you met.
Mhm.
and Mikey's wife, Julie. So we're going to do all the things that we didn't get to do when we were there 2 years ago.
I remember meeting Mike.
Yeah.
They also had Cheryl with them.
Hmm.
Um, I think it was just those two, Mike and Cheryl, that
Yeah.
came with him to Paulden Jail.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cheryl's
Um,
a great EVP person.
and then I think it was a month or so after that investigation was when they went to Scotland.
Mhm.
I think. I can't remember.
Probably.
So much has happened.
Well, it was a whirlwind, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, it was, and I do need to get back on this show. I've been kind of leaving him alone because I know that he was having a hard time with his apartment.
it's fixed. He can do shows now.
Okay,
And tell him I said, get on here. So,
I'll be sure to do that when I throw a pitch at him.
yeah. Kat said you need to be here like next week, okay? So,
Oh, it won't be next week.
well, I know, but he's such a nice man,
Mhm.
and he's such a caring person
He
that
really is.
he's just he is so supportive of St. Jude's. And
Okay, I
when
did not know that.
oh yeah, he all of his profits from his books and t-shirt sales and stuff, um beyond costs and whatever, he donates a large percentage, if not all of the t-shirts go to St. Jude's. All of the t-shirt sales do,
Okay.
and most of the books. So I'm not sure what the percentage on the book says,
Yeah, I
but
did.
he is a huge supporter. And we really don't know why Danny Thomas hasn't been like posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor of some kind or something. But because that's who started that, Marlo Thomas's dad.
Yeah,
And
Dad and I see the commercials of St. Jude's a lot, and he talks about Danny Thomas.
yeah, and I mean, where else can you take a sick child to have the love? And anyone who's had or had a loved one with cancer knows how expensive those treatments are. And if you don't have insurance, you're screwed. And
I
no
can,
family pays for their treatment of their child there, and the children and the families stay together there.
I can definitely relate to that because I'm having an insurance issue concerning my daughter right now, which I really don't want to get into in public.
No, we don't need to do that.
Yeah, because then I will go on an hour-long tirade, and I don't really want to do that right now.
It's okay. I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm good at tirades. I hate doing them, but I'm effective with them. So
Oh, I
I
can
know
do
you are.
the best of them too.
I'm sure.
It's just so much energy consuming.
I know, and it's not healthy.
No, it's not.
It's better just to let karma win.
Yeah, and then when it actually happens, it's like, should I feel guilty that karma stepped in or no?
No, because karma only steps in where she is needed.
Very true.
So it's a good thing.
Yeah. You know, this was only supposed to be an hour show, and we've already crossed 2 hours.
Well, you didn't tell me a time limit. And I've just enjoyed you. I told you I love talking to you.
I know.
So,
It's just that holy cow.
yeah.
Going on and on and on is like a very short amount of time has only passed by, and I look at the live thing. It says 2 hours and 14 minutes. I'm like, shit, did we really go that long?
We did.
Well, I am going to need to end this.
That's okay.
Don't really want to, but kind of one of those things where I do have to because I actually have to leave the house. I got to go somewhere tonight. I got to pick up a prescription for my daughter. And
Well,
for those who don't know, today is actually Angelia's birthday. She's 19 years old.
holy cow. You have a 19-year-old?
Yes.
Wow.
I was. It was just before my 25th birthday when she was born.
Well, I'm going to tell you that my baby is 30 now.
Oh,
So
shit.
the
Wow.
baby of them all. So, you know what? Time flies and we're so fortunate. And I have had so much fun being on here with you. Thank you for having me.
It's such a pleasure having you on here, and I'm definitely going to have you back on now that I know about this world champion baseball player.
Baseball, not baseball.
Okay.
I was a barfly. I did play baseball, softball, but I was a
Okay.
jock. I swam. I played softball. It
And
was funny.
I'll
Did
talk about
shot put and discus.
you.
Hmm?
We can also talk about your photography too.
I would do that. I love it. And I will, yeah, before we do it, I can send you some and you can share it or something, whatever.
Yeah, that'll work.
I love, I love, I just love life. You know, I am so much older than I thought I would ever be.
Hmm.
And every day is just gravy, you know? I love it. And did you
How
say
far
you're
from Mississippi are you?
what part of Mississippi?
Well, next in March, I'm actually going to be coming down Mississippi on my way to Baton Rouge for a bowling tournament, and I'm actually going to be stopping around the Jackson Brandon area for the night because I'll be seeing another friend who lives in the area.
Jackson's not, I think it might be 3 hours. That's not much. So I've, I'd have to look at the map, but we'll talk about that.
Okay.
What time of year next year?
Uh, it's
This isn't really a pop quiz. We could talk about that.
it's in March. Um, I'm bowling in Baton Rouge on the 19th and 20th of March.
Okay. Well, either on the way down or on the way back, we can make that work. David's birthday is March 26th, so I'm always busy on that day.
Okay.
But
So
other than that, did you say your daughter's name is Angelia?
Angelia, yeah.
I love that name. And
It's
then I saw Nick type it out, and I'm like, that is what he said. That's beautiful.
mhm,
Well,
yeah.
happy birthday to her.
Yeah, her name is Angelia Hope.
Oh,
The Hope is was my grandma's middle name, and Angelia is actually a song from 1988 by Richard Marx or 1989. So
that's
I
very cool.
so I just put the two together, Angelia Hope.
I love it.
Well, Kat, it has been such a joy having you on the show. I'm definitely going to get you back on here so that we can talk about some of your other things that make you you, besides the paranormal stuff.
Well, I just love life. I like new experiences. I love photography because, I can't paint. So we'll talk about that
Yeah,
anytime. You just let me know.
I sure will. I
And
sure will.
thanks
And
to Nick, too, by the way.
and for everybody out there in the audience, thank you so much for playing along.
Yes.
As of right now, there is no show next week, but the following week, I actually have Cat's producer as my guest, Race
Yes.
Hobbs. He will be on, and we are going to be talking about something really fun, which is technological conspiracies.
Love that stuff. You're going to have so much fun with him.
Well, I can't wait for that one
He's
because
brilliant.
I got a teaser of that when I was on your show a couple of
Yes,
weeks.
you did.
And I'm thinking I have got to talk about this one.
And he's a brilliant, he has a host, he hosts a show also. So, you're just going to have so much fun. He is probably one of the best people on conspiracy there are.
Oh, I
I think he's brilliant.
Yeah, I cannot wait for that one at all.
You're going to have fun. So, well, thank you so much for having me. And thank you to everybody in chat and everybody listening too, because I've had a blast.
So tell everybody real quick where they can find you and your shows.
Oh, well, I'm Catherine Hobson now on Facebook, but you can, you can find me everywhere. My shows are Fate Magazine Radio and Paranormal Experienced with Kat Hobson. I am currently airing on the KUNX network. It is a lot of fun being there. And you can listen to me live at unxnetwork.com/stream. And those are always posted on my Facebook. There's also a Paranormal Experienced Facebook page. So I'm everywhere. But I have fun and I enjoy what I do. And I'll be doing some live feeds and stuff from Scotland too.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
I know, right?
Yeah, that'd be so cool. And have Rick and Lori and Mike on
Well,
there.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
We'll probably do it on Rick's page, but we'll do it.
Okay. Well, let me know when you
I
guys
will.
go on live so that I can watch you.
I will do that
Yeah.
because we're going to some amazing places. We're actually talent for a investigation with Scottish Paranormal. Actually, Scottish Paranormal are the talent,
Mhm.
but it's kind of a come hunt with the Americans thing. And it's going to be at Balgony Castle. And we're going to
He
be
wrote
going,
about that in that last book of
yeah,
his.
yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the stories that caught my attention more out of some of the other chapters that he had.
That's an amazing place. We investigated there when we were there 2 years ago. And it's just, oh my God, it is so beautiful. And the Laird, when we do the live feed from there, the Laird actually hand carved the doors, the great big wooden doors.
Mhm.
He did all of the coats of arms. Every coat of arm has a Templar cross in them, just so you know. There's a reason for that. And it was an amazing place. But we're going to be investigating all kinds of places. The list is legion.
It,
So,
it's rich over there in those islands.
yes. And we're going to get to, there's a place called Salutations. We're going to be everywhere. We're going to be staying in Inverness for a few days before we come back. We're going to be staying in St. Andrews. We're going to start in Edinburgh. We're going to be staying in Roslyn so that we can go places in Roslyn and do some investigation. We're going to be we're going to get to go to Loch Ness for breakfast one morning.
Uh,
Where I didn't get to go to Loch Ness when we were there before. So that's going to be very cool.
yeah,
And
definitely try to see if you can find Nessie or not.
I'm probably just going to do breakfast. I am a water baby. I love being on the water, but I don't know if we're going to have time to do the boat trip. But you never know.
Oh, you don't have to be on the boat to try to find her. You might be able to find her from the outskirts of it.
Well, I can just be like, oh, Nessie, oh, Nessie.
Exactly.
So, and of course she'd come because I'm an animal person. Said everybody that's ever gone to Scotland to try to find her.
I wonder
But
if anybody has ever tried to use sonar to communicate with her to see if she actually is down there.
they have done sonar testing down there. It's kind of like the Lake Champlain monster. Um, I was fortunate enough to talk to Scott, who was the premier champ researcher forever until he passed away, and they did everything in Lake Champlain trying to find
Wow.
that creature. They're very elusive, but I do believe they're there.
Definitely going to have to follow up on all of that. So
But you have to get to the pharmacy.
I do, yeah, because it's now 10:15. I was supposed to have left to go there at 9. It's a 24-hour store, so I'm good.
I, you didn't tell me how long the show was, so I've just been rolling with it. So,
Usually, I just go if I can get an hour out of you, I'm good. If we go over, that's okay.
yeah.
But I just want to get to that 1 hour. and
Yeah.
we got 2.25.
Well, you can just break it right up.
Yep.
But you know what? Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
being
you for
on.
making me feel so comfortable, and thank you for being so fun.
Yeah, and thank you for being on the show. Thank Mr. Alien back there, Mr. Bluehead, or green, turquoise, whatever color he is.
His name's Al. Al Leon. Yeah.
Um, Real quick though, I do want to say I like that little design, the circular design that's right above your head over
That's
there.
my tree of life.
Okay, I really do
Yeah.
like that one.
Let's see if I can get my. See?
Yeah, I do like that.
Thank
All
you.
right, everybody out there in the audience, again, thank you for playing along. See you guys in a couple weeks, if not on Supernatural Talk next week. And Kat, see you sometime. Great having you on the show.
Thanks. Good to
And,
be here. Take care.
and everybody out there, enjoy your Memorial Day, enjoy your 3-day weekend, and we'll see you guys next time.
Good night.